This morning, we are learning more about the 238 Venezuelan men that the Trump administration recently deported to El Salvador. CBS News has exclusively obtained a list of all of their names. They are currently being held in what's considered one of the most dangerous prisons in the world. The Trump administration claims all of them are connected to Venezuelan gangs, but has not provided evidence. Relatives of some of the deportees say that's not true, insisting their loved ones have no criminal records. Lilia Luciano spoke with family members.
Yo no sé qué hacer.
Joanny Sanchez was in tears after learning CBS News confirmed her husband, Franco Jose Caraballo Tiapa, an asylum seeker from Venezuela, was listed as one of the names deported to a prison in El Salvador.
¿Qué está buscando? What are you looking for?
We first spoke to her earlier this week as she surged through prison images, looking to see if one of the men was her husband.
Papi.
She says their 4-year-old daughter keeps asking for her dad.
Era una persona muy tratable.
He was very friendly and loving, she told us, and beloved by everyone who knew him.
All of this is being done with the assumption that these people are a danger, and no actual evidence.
The Trump administration is accusing Caraballo and more than 200 other Venezuelan men of being part of a violent gang known as Tren de Aragua. DHS told CBS News they are confident in their intel, but an attorney tracking the cases of the deportees says at least 44 of the individuals who appear on the list obtained by CBS News do not appear to have criminal records in the U.S. or Venezuela.
We live in a country that is supposed to follow the rule of law, and where disappearances and detention without due process is not something any of us expect.
In a sworn testimony filed yesterday, an attorney for Venezuelan professional soccer player Jersey Reyes Barrios, who appeared to be on the list of deportees, says he has no criminal history. According to the attorney, the Department of Homeland Security alleges Reyes Barrios has a tattoo that proves he's a gang member. But the attorney says he got the tattoo because it looks like the logo of his favorite soccer team. Meanwhile, Sanchez had this message for her husband.
Que se mantengan como
Keep the faith, she said. Soon you'll get out, and I'll be waiting. For CBS Mornings, I'm Lilia Luciano.
So many questions from families. We are joined now by CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez, who broke the story of the internal government list of names. Camilo, good morning.
Good morning.
The government didn't want this list out.
No.
What can you tell us so far about the makeup of the names?
Well, here's a list. It contains the names of 238 Venezuelan nationals deported by the U.S. to El Salvador. We know, generally speaking, that according to a declaration submitted by the Trump administration, that some of these men do have criminal records in the U.S. or in other countries, but many, according to the administration, do not. The administration is accusing all of them of being part of this transnational criminal gang known as Tren de Aragua, but that is an accusation that is being disputed by their lawyers and their relatives. We know that under the wartime authority under which many of these deportees were expelled from the U.S., the government, the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, signed into law just 22 years after the Declaration of Independence, the government actually does not require to criminally charge or convict or even fine this person deportable under immigration law to order someone deported from the country under that wartime authority.
Earlier in the week, we had a conversation with someone from the Brennan Center, and they were saying that being a member of that gang is grounds for deportation. We can put aside the prison part of it. But how do you determine if a person's a member of the gang? We heard conversation about tattoos. How reliable are tattoos as a gauge?
It's a critical question in this debate. We know from one of the court filings that ICE is employing different techniques to make these accusations that people are part of Tren de Aragua. One of those techniques is looking at criminal databases in the U.S. and in countries like Chile, Peru, and Colombia, where many Venezuelans have lived for years after that massive economic collapse in that country. And they're also looking, yes, at social media and tattoos. But lawyers say that that is a slippery slope, that tattoos do not necessarily imply that somebody is part of a gang, and that many of their clients indeed do not have criminal records. And we have seen documents that document as much, that some of the people sent to El Salvador, in fact, do not have any criminal records in the U.S. or in Venezuela. But the administration would argue, Tony, that they are still suspected gang members and should be summarily expelled from the country without any due process.
Because of suspicion, because of tattoos?
Or
potentially?
social media activity.
Well, Let me ask you this. The Biden administration expanded the visa program for Venezuelans, right?
Yes.
Many were able to come legally. Do we know if any of these men who've been deported without due process came to this country legally with visas provided by the U.S. government?
We know that some of them, in fact, did take advantage of those Biden administration programs that allowed migrants to enter the country lawfully with the government's permission, but they still lacked U.S. citizenship or permanent residency. And so in the government's eyes, they are still fair game to be deported. Some of them did cross into the U.S. illegally and had immigration violations.
Of course, all this is happening in the context of both the Biden administration and now the Trump administration acknowledging this is a problem, this gang is a problem. The
Yes.
question is this a way to root out the gang? Is it legal? And that's being sorted out.
And this gang is now, for the first time, being treated as a wartime enemy of the U.S. The Alien Enemies Act has only been invoked in wartime until now, when it is being invoked against a non-state actor.
Yeah.
It's a very unusual situation, yeah.
All right,
Camilo, thank you
Camilo.
very much.
Thank
Of course.
you.
Really appreciate it.